Hey everybody, thanks for joining me, Steve here, and today we're going to be taking a look at the good old New England Patriots and how they've had an absolutely crazy week with free agency. So one of the first items that I'd love to talk about is that of the tight end position. Now we've got both Hunter Henry and also Jonnu Smith now joining the team, and this really does remind me of these two. I've got to be honest, this goes back to an offensive mastermind that was Bill in the early 2000s with regards to Gronkowski and Hernandez. Now what this allowed the Patriots to do was punch the ball in without always having to run the ball. Now this is something that we saw with them last season. We relied very heavily on the run when we got into the red zone, and although we were extremely successful, we did still have some periods of time when we really needed to be getting not field goals but actual points on the board from touchdowns. Now to be able to catch up with any of the playoff style teams, we need to have reasonably explosive offense, and I really do think that these two tight ends do give us that. So talking of the offense, we were not finished there. So wide receiver, we do have Kendrick Bourne that's come over in free agency. That gives another weapon for good old Cam to be able to throw to. Now obviously for me, I don't actually know a huge hell of a lot about this guy. However, I've gone back and watched some of the old film of Kendrick, and I've got to be honest, he does look a really explosive player. The question is going to be how he fits into New England. Now we've had a lot of really good wide receivers come this way, and I'm not talking about Randy Moss at this moment because he was actually the exception to the rule, came into the Patriots and flourished massively. However, I'm talking about people like Sanu. If you remember, Cordell Patterson came in, and a lot of these guys got pulled into different roles because they just simply weren't cutting it. Now, N'Keal Harry, whether you love him or you hate him, he's not actually done too badly with Cam Newton. So Cam's now got a second target with Kendrick Bourne coming in. So if you take a good look at actually how our wide receivers were doing last season, they were getting quite a lot of separation from the cornerbacks. But the question has to be, why didn't Cam throw it to him? A lot of the time it was a designed run. A lot of the time it was just, a little bit of misdirection. Maybe he didn't see the long ball. But at the end of the day, well, hey, last season's last season. Let's see how Kendrick Bourne does this season. Now the wide receiver I'm really happy with is that of Aguilar coming over. Now he had 8 touchdowns. So if you have got on the field at any one time 2 massive tight ends of Smith and also Hunter Henry, you've also got the likes of N'Keal Harry that's still there. You've now got Kendrick coming in as well, and guess what? Boom, there comes Aguilar. That's quite a lot of decent sized weapons as well. If we can get Edelman in that mix as well, that is an absolute lineup that anyone would want to take towards the playoffs. So another really good deal, and one that I was a little bit shocked about, to be fair, was not only getting Ted Karras back, bringing him back for obviously a $4 million deal for 1 year, but also getting Andrews to re-sign with the Patriots, having actually wanted to go out to the free agency market and see basically where he was sitting. Now that actually means that we've got both of our centres back, and to be honest, when Andrews went down the other year, Karras actually stepped up and went into that position extremely well. Now, someone that doesn't really get a huge amount of press until he does something wrong is that of kicker Nick Folk. He's obviously been re-signed as well this week. Nice to actually see that we're going to go into a season knowing who our kicker is going to be, because I don't know how many times I started thinking that they were probably walking around the practice squad at one point seeing who could actually kick the ball through the uprights correctly at one point, when we just seemed to go through kicker after kicker after kicker. Now I know that obviously Stephen Gostkowski is still close in a lot of our hearts. I've still got one of Steve's jerseys in my closet just in case. It was a huge shock when Adam Vinatieri left, and it's been the same with Gostkowski. But since Gostkowski left, we have gone into this spiral that gladly now we seem to be filling with Nick Folk. So it hasn't all been the offense that's been getting these massive contracts. We have actually started going out and spending on the D, which is brilliant, because if there's one thing I know about a Patriots team, it's normally got some sort of dominant factor with regards to the defense itself. Let's not forget, Belichick is more of a defensive minded coach than anything else. So, bringing defensive back Jalen Mills, and Belichick's kind of smiling, really, to be honest. Now, obviously, Belichick got to see Jalen Mills play on the other side of the field. Obviously, Mills did go to the Super Bowl and play for the 2017 Eagles. He's seen the big game. He's come through in the clutch times, but is actually a really positive start for the Patriots. Now, on top of that, we've also got the defensive tackle of Davon Godchalks. Don't know if I've said his name right. Haven't really heard it that huge amount, to be honest. Why is that such a positive move? Yep, he's been down there for 2 years, and he's been with Brian Flores for that period of time. Flores coming over and having very much the Patriot way ethos throughout his career as a coach, has gone down to Miami and built exactly the same style of defense that he coached previously. Let's not forget he managed to get hold of quite a few players, really, to be honest, but they are starting to come back to the Patriots. So, speaking of that, one of the most beautiful signings, as far as I'm concerned, for our defense is that of this man. To have Kyle Van Noy back is absolutely phenomenal. I have to be honest. I absolutely love this player. I think he's brilliant. He's such a fantastic player, so smart, so clever, and we really did miss him from our linebacker core from last year. Now, don't get me wrong, I know that we had some difficulties with regards to people stepping out because of COVID, but let's just be honest, we really missed this man being in the middle, coming forward, still doing the sacks for Miami, but for some reason, don't know why, but he was cut by Miami and the Patriots soon swiped him up. So fantastic to see that JC Jackson is coming back. This ball hawk has been really tested since Malcolm Butler stepped away. He's really stepped into some big shoes. Now, I know that obviously we had Stephon Gilmore and still potentially have Stephon Gilmore, I am really hoping. However, JC Jackson's done really well to say that a lot of people just don't want to throw the way of Stephon Gilmore and they don't want to challenge that. So obviously Jackson was actually put up for a little bit of baptism by fire, should we say. But he's done really well, and being able to well, as I said, he's a ball hawk. He's been able to snag that quite a few times and come up in some really big situations for the Patriots. So him returning, fantastic news. So sticking with the defence, we've actually got some returning players coming back as well. Obviously we have got Cody Davis that's actually come back to the team, Carl Davis as well. A big one for me, which was Dietrich Wise Jr. I really wanted to see him back. As my video stated earlier on, he was one of my key guys that I really wanted to keep. Justin Bethel saying that he will return. Now, one of the big shocks that came to the defence was that of the retiring of this man here, Patrick Chung. Now, Chung had actually announced that he was going to come back and play in the 2021 season. Now, remember, he actually opted out of the 2020 season due to obviously COVID. However, really gutting that this fantastic player is not going to be coming back. He's had 11 absolutely phenomenal seasons. He has been an absolute force to be reckoned with. Unfortunately, retirement seemed to beckon him, and he gave a very heartfelt message with regards to how much he'd loved playing with the Patriots in the town and also being a part of New England. Thank you, Patrick. You've been a phenomenal Patriot, and good luck with the retirement. So one thing that is really sad news is that of Tooney and Cannon actually not coming back to the Patriots this year and going to other teams. Now, both of these guys have been absolutely phenomenal for the Patriots, and if you watch my video earlier on, just there, then you would have seen that I wanted obviously Marcus Cannon and Tooney to actually come back. Now, let's not forget there was that epic picture that was released, a little bit of video of someone walking onto the field on their own and basically staying there, having a last look at the whole surrounding areas and then moving on. Now, that later came out that it was actually Tooney, and it is very fitting that sadly he has moved on. Maybe in his heart he knew that he was going at that point, who knows. So another player coming back to the Patriot roster after having a short sabbatical with another team, and that were the Raiders. We have got our left or maybe even right offensive tackle back. Now, if you remember Trent Brown, he absolutely solidified our left side previously, so it would be great to see him back in that position. It really depends on how our O-line is going to get constructed decided who's going to be the centre. Obviously, we've got two extremely good centres at the moment, and we've had some other really good players play a left tackle, and that's really good coming into the Patriots, because let's not forget, we love moving our offensive linemen around for some reason. We did once go around, I think it was 7 or 8 weeks, with a completely different front lineup every single week. So let's not forget that we have still got quite a lot of holdouts. Now, at the time of looking at this, Hightower was going to be a holdout, but he is coming back to the Patriots. We have still got no real word with regards to James White, who has actually gone to, dare I say it, the Buccaneers to have a little bit of a chat to see, obviously, if he wants to move on from the Patriots. Now, if you did watch my video just here, you will remember that I talked about both Rex Burkhead and James White, and the position that James White was in with regards to Brady moving on, and how his role had changed, and you could see that in the 2020 season. It would be extremely interesting if James White did actually go to Tampa, because it would play into exactly what I'd said. Wow, I love saying this, with regards to obviously the way that James White performed, because of how well Tom Brady is able to get that ball downfield. Really does count with regards to the play screen and also the bubble screen that the Patriots used to love to run excessively. So guys, thanks for joining me. That was the roundup of this week in Patriots free agency. I'm absolutely mind blown as to how many players we've taken on. I must admit, it's the first time in my lifetime I've been a Pats fan since 93-94, seen so many free agents that were reasonably good players coming to the Patriots. You can definitely tell that Bill's viewpoint this year is very much we need to 100% rebuild. I think they've had a good year of having a look at what they've got. They know which players that they want to bring back, and they also know the areas that they need to work on, and by God, we have worked on that. I really think number one for me has got to be the signing of the two tight ends. I think that is the free agency winner. Out of all of the free agency signings that have come over, it's definitely the two tight ends. And from an emotional standpoint, one of the things that I'm absolutely most happy about is that of Kyle Van Noy coming back to the Patriots. I cannot tell you how much I think of this player. I think he's absolutely phenomenal. I think he's such a fantastic talent, and he was such a loss to the Patriots not having him there last season. It really did show. I know COVID, all that sort of stuff, but so glad that this guy is back. So all that's left for me now is to say thank you very much for watching. Please do make sure that you've hit that bell notification so that you know when I am putting out new content. Obviously, if we have another week like last week, which we can't have because we just don't have that much money, but if we have another great free agency week, I will be back to give you guys a bit of a rundown on who we've got and how I feel that it's going to fit in with the Patriots. So take care, and I'll see you soon. Bye bye.